Commissioner Rebold. The first department up is the Van Buren Township Police Department. Van Buren Township Police Department is led by Director Greg Lorraine and Chief Jason Wright. Accreditation Manager is Sergeant Louis Keel and Officer Adam Bird. The department is a C-size agency with 39 sworn personnel. Commissioner Hoffman will lead the review.
Good morning, Director Lorraine.
Good morning.
Please introduce yourself and the team that you have with you today.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Greg Lorraine. Like he said, I'm Director of Public Safety. To my right is Officer Adam Bird. He's one of our accreditation managers. And to my left is our Deputy Director, Jason Wright. One of our other accreditation managers, Sergeant Louis Keel, unfortunately is not able to be with us today. He came down with COVID, so we send him our best wishes, and he's been through this process, and it's a shame he's not here today.
Commission on-site assessment took place on December 20th and 21st of last year. Team leader was Lieutenant Matt Silverthorne of the White Lake Township Police Department. And record supervisor Gail Kaczynski of the Fort Huron Police Department. Van Buren Township Police Department complied with 105 standards. 3 standards were not applicable, and they had 2 standards that were applied discretion during the onset.
Okay, Director Lorraine, very good report. House seems to be very much squared away. I just have a couple questions for you. First of all, I want to thank you and the accreditation team that you had assembled, the assessment team for being the boots on the ground and kind of helping to prepare the report, so you did a fantastic job with that. But just a couple questions I had for you, then I'll turn it over to the other commissioners. I noticed that you have several specialized units within your department that the officers may choose to gain some additional experience and knowledge in. I didn't see a school resource officer program. Do you have that within your department with the Van Buren schools? Or?
Currently, we do not. In the past, and I'm talking probably about 8 years ago, we did shared a school resource officer with the city of Belleville. Van Buren Township, the school district, is actually Belleville. The high school sits directly in the middle, so it's Belleville City under their jurisdiction. So they have a school resource officer, and we did at one time. Because of funding issues with the school, they decided to cut back to only one. And due to the fact that the high school is in the jurisdiction of Belleville, they took over. We're entertaining the idea, and we have been for a while. We're looking for funds to have a school resource officer directly to do with our middle schools and our elementary schools within our community.
Very good, thank you. Congratulations on your efforts with hiring and recruiting. Very impressed with that. You guys almost seem like you found the secret ingredients to it. And it's only us, and I'm going to ask you to share just a minute or two on what you've done. But you've done a fantastic job with creating a diverse staff. This was the first department I've seen in a very long time. They have way more applicants than openings, so that was very impressive also. And then I noticed within the last year alone, your department hired 3 minorities.
Yes.
That seems to be very important, especially nowadays in this climate. It's kind of hard to recruit, attract, retain, minority candidates. But so, can you speak about that, especially your intentional efforts on recruiting?
Well, I guess I'm not telling anybody in this room that they don't know already. It's very difficult to recruit good minority applicants. That pool is so small, and everybody's picking from that pool. I wish I could take the credit for it, but the gentleman next to me, Officer Bird, he came up with one of our sergeants, came up with the idea to have a recruiting team, and they rolled this out. They have 6 people on the recruiting team, and they put a plan together. Came back to me, came back to the chief. They're doing very well right now. I guess Officer Bird, you can kind of expound on that a little bit more since it's your baby.
Yeah, what we did, sir, is we looked at SIMCOG, Southeastern Michigan Council of Governments, and found out what our community profile is. We found out the number of candidates that will actually qualify within the community, both the majority and minority. Looking at the qualified applicants, we facilitated a target market plan. Looking at a target market plan, we revamped our literature. We created a diversified recruiting team that consists of males, females, dispatchers, African Americans, as well as majorities. Within that, we also promoted it. I'm the union president for Van Buren Township Police Department. On our union website, we got the rank and file to support, which is your biggest marketing plan. To have the people that work for you go out there and promote the agency. Create an environment that was comfortable, work with management, execute the plan, and was able to yield results.
Fantastic results, I would say. So that's the most minorities you had at one time?
Yes, I'm actually the first full-time African American that was there, and we created a plan to try to attract that capital talent, and this is the most. Yes, sir.
Fantastic. One other question I had for you, which is also gaining some public comments about the automated license plate reading program. You're going to be the first department within Western Wayne County, I believe, to roll out that flock camera system. I think you guys bought 30 cameras. You're going to roll that out. How was it, or did you kind of seek any kind of input from the community or some type of buy-in before you rolled that out, or before you made the decision to roll those out?
Actually, we're very excited about this program. We just started to roll it out the first of the year. We had discussions in 2021 about doing this with our elected officials. We had a major homicide that we were working about 3 years ago. Those cameras could possibly played a major role in developing a suspect vehicle at that time. And there was discussion over the years, in the last 3 years, about that. It was actually pushed a lot by our elected officials to look for something like this. So we, between the police department and the elected officials, we went out and looked at different vendors, found Flock being a very high-end vendor, not only that, but affordable. And we started mapping out what we wanted to do. The elected officials actually funded this project for us through the general fund. So right now, we've started just unrolling it. We've got a policy in place. We're developing one right now because they wanted to see one in place. We haven't had any breaks in cases right now, but we had other agencies to our north, Canton Township. They had a possible abduction. They called us and we were able to put a plate in, and they were able to help them out in an investigative status.
To answer your question too, the politicians, the elected officials did have public hearings because it was a large ticket item where the community did have input to their elected officials.
I have one other thing to add that was real important in this when you talk about the community acceptance of it. With a couple of the violent crimes we've had, the community was actually looking for us to have something like this. And the interesting thing that Flock is, opposed to other cameras, is they really key up on catching the rear of the vehicle. So we could publicly come out and say this isn't a facial recognition, this is just catching the back of your vehicle. It's open to the public, you can see it any times, and so we had support right up front.
Obviously, that was a concern from the onset, was this facial recognition, and the board wasn't for that. But we understand that this is just a vehicle plate, and the back of the vehicle recognition is only, and no facial recognition involved.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Did your officers wear body-worn cameras, BWCs?
Yes, we implemented that program for body-worn cameras about 5 years ago. We've always had mobile cameras. We've had them for at least over 35, 40 years. And just recently, with the last 4 years, we implemented WatchGuard body cameras for all our officers.
Thank you. Chief Keller?
Jason, you just told me that you're really excited about getting to this point because you guys feel like this has been successful. And we've talked in the past about the trials and tribulations of being accredited. Can you expound on that and how it was?
Oh, well, I think we use the term daunting task. I mean, we got into this thinking we could do it part-time and found out we couldn't. And then we had a lot of operational issues. We went to a new policy manual through Lexipol, and that was one of the first things we did was get all our policies up to date. And that was a huge project. It took 2 years. We had our command staff, so the director and I would push the policies down for them to review first, provide their comments. We would also do the same with Adam. We'd get the union involved on certain issues. And then, so we had everybody's buy-in on the policies. Well, Lexipol was going to have a dashboard that we were going to be the beta group. It didn't work out. So for 9 months, we had a bunch of wasted time that just never materialized. It put us behind. COVID came, and we went on modified schedule, and we had to put people on different shifts, and we lost some time there. So it was always something. I just felt like, are we ever going to get to where we start seeing the percentages of where we're at start increasing? And we finally did. It seems like it comes together really towards the end. Like the last couple months is when you feel that you've you're there. You've accomplished it. The finish line is in sight. And it was just very frustrating with a lot of little obstacles internally that we had. And we had a lot of work to do. I mean, our policies were 20 years old. I mean, they've been updated here and there, but it was paper. And so what we have now, it's really made us better. And I feel like our whole agency, they've noticed it. You know, our patrol, right down to the patrol officer working the street, they've noticed it. So
I think our biggest, just to add on to that, our biggest mistake, if you want to call it, was to think that we could take on this task with just one person. And one person that would be doing several jobs. We made Sergeant Keel's not here today, but he's also our administrative sergeant during the day that oversees dispatch. And he's trying to juggle two balls here with accreditation. Obviously, that didn't work very well between the pandemic coming in and some issues with Lexipol. Going back now, if we just started knowing what we know now, and I would recommend to anybody that's doing accreditation, if you're serious about it and you want to get it done in a timely manner, to make sure you have a minimum of two full-time people to do this. It's like Jason said, it was a very daunting task, more than we ever thought. Once we got Adam on board within the last year, things just smoothed right away. So
it's a lot smoother.
yeah.
So you got a couple unique features in Van Buren, and one of them is that you have an airport, Willow Run. What are the challenges that you have with the airport?
Well, out at the airport, I would say they don't necessarily have an officer out there all the time. So like when stuff happens out there, we're the first responders until the police department gets out there. Sometimes they have an officer there, but it's not like Detroit Metro. Willow Run is much smaller, a lot of carrier flights. And so like anytime they have a report of like a plane malfunction, we're scrambling our jets and running out there to start getting it set up for the other agency who's ultimately it's their jurisdiction. So we have to work with them and back them quite a bit on different things.
So, and the same is with the city of Belleville, you surround them, correct? And how is that relationship?
Very good, very good. Their chief, Dave Robinson, just recently came aboard a couple of years ago. We've always had a great relationship with the city. They back our officers up and we back them up. I would say at least 20 years ago is when we started doing combined dispatch. They closed their dispatch center. We currently dispatch police and fire operations for the city of Belleville. So we do all kinds of training with them because obviously the high school sits in their jurisdiction right in the middle of Van Buren Township. We're 36 square miles and they sit in the center. So obviously if there's a situation at the high school, active shooter, then we train together because we'd be also deploying with them.
Last question. In your report, it talked about the need to go to digital record management system. Have you guys decided to go to one? Have you guys picked one? What's the deal?
We have. So we went with Guardian Tracker, and we actually have had the training with our command staff, and we're in the process of building what we need. The nice thing is really with our training, all our training, that's going to be awesome to track all our training in it. We're going to download all of the certificates and all our training management. We're going to go from having paper to digital. It's going to be nice.
All right, thanks.
I just have a couple quick questions. Most of them were covered already. I guess I just wanted to hear from Officer Bird about your journey through the accreditation process, coming on board and kind of working as a liaison with your staff to get better.
Buying's not easy if it's not understood what the process of why we're being accredited. But when you have the conversations, which we did have, luckily we were in union negotiations, so it gave us an opportunity to have a conversation anyway, as to we're going to be 43 agencies out of the 583 agencies in the state of Michigan. We're going to be in a better position to get grants, which means that they'll be able to get more funding for things that they want. Then therefore you start to attract that level of buy-in. Much less, you do want to be, explaining to them the importance of either we could start managing ourselves or we could have politicians managing us that don't know our jobs. And so the more agencies that participate in the accreditation process, obviously we will have a bigger seat at the table in order to lobby for more positive outcomes. That level of conversation was positive. People therefore understood it, and once they understood it, they bought in.
Just looking at some of the specialty positions within your department, the airport liaison, marine patrol, how do those play a role in being either a hindrance or were they difficult to deal with navigating through the accreditation process?
We didn't find much of a hindrance in it at all. We do have a lot of specialty teams that we go out there right now. Our biggest one is the seasonal marine division. Van Buren Township is 36 square miles. In Wayne County, we're considered having the largest inland lake, 7 miles long in the county. So even though it's called Belleville Lake, it's under Van Buren's jurisdiction. So we have to patrol that during the summertime. And we have to, it's very difficult at times to find officers that want to do a marine patrol division. A lot of people don't like water. They don't want to serve in the water during the summer. So, that puts a little hindrance on us at times.
And then last but not least, this is a common topic in a lot of departments. Any recommendations on how you're successful in recruiting? It sounds like you have a lot of applicants that want to come work for you. Any ideas or suggestions on how agencies can improve on their recruiting?
We put together a comprehensive recruiting plan. We know our market, and what I mean by market is who we're trying to attract. Your marketing literature, if you're trying to attract minorities, has to have a minority on there. If you're trying to attract ladies, you have to have a lady on your recruiting team. We just went to college, and I thought that I would do an excellent job at recruiting, and I had a one-year officer do a better job than I did. And the conversation was simple. I know you want beards, I know you want tattoos, I know you want this, and I thought I wanted all that until I started working for Van Buren Township. And when I found a family there, when I found people care about me, that was more important than the things that I thought that I wanted. That one-year person speaking to people that she was just sitting in that seat 6 months ago is what gets capital talent of young people attracted. I have 22 years on the job. I hate to say it, I'm a little old school, so I don't have some of the same values than the newer generation. I cared about pensions and health benefits. I didn't worry about beards and tattoos. But to be able to incorporate that conversation while maintaining our values for a one-year person that's sitting in that seat, that's the type of person that is going to attract the capital talent you want.
Thank you. So, Commissioners, we've read the report, we've heard the answers to the questions. I would like to then offer a motion that we present the Van Buren Township Police Department to the Michigan Law Enforcement Accreditation Commission for full accredited status. Is there a second? Support. Support by Chief Keller, Commissioner Keller. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Thank you very much. Motion passes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Director Lawyer, do you have any final comments or anything you want to share?
Well, I can tell you on behalf of my staff here, we're honored to be here. Like we said earlier, it was a daunting task that we took on, but at the end, I'm elated. I'm so proud to be part of this. It only makes your agency better. I truly believe that. We thought we had good policies in place, which we do. Accreditation just confirms and makes them better with those standards that they put forward. So thank you again.
Very well.